On the one hand, you want someone who's very familiar with an adversary, but to the profound point that you make, there is this difference between the Biden family and the Walz China connection, that transactional versus ideological emotional reaction. I think you're right. Having looked at the Bidens, I mean, they're not emotionally attached even to America. They're not emotionally attached to any of these countries that they were profiting from. But when you look at the emotional profit that comes of a relationship, that becomes something that's way less easy to expose. There's not a lot of receipts. There's only actions. And that's a profound point. I wonder, though, if there are tracks to be found between the Chinese Communist Party and that police station, if you will, that was found in his state. You have a lot of anomalies and actions from the Chinese Communist Party that they seem to have gotten away with in his state compared to other states. I guess that's one way to track someone's ideological receipts, if you will.
Yeah, no, I think you make a great point. I mean, look, he hasn't, served in a national security position in Washington, but as governor of Maine, there's certainly a lot of things to be concerned about. The police station you mentioned is absolutely one of them. These, of course, are these police stations that are run by United Front groups in cooperation with the CCP. They're designed to intimidate people in the United States, including American citizens who happen to be Chinese, to make sure they don't speak out against the CCP. There's 5 of them in the United States. One of those is in the Twin Cities. And the organization that is deemed to be behind that secret police station in the Twin Cities partners with a group called Minnesota Global that Tim Walz is very close to, and he's done nothing about it. Add to that the fact that Tim Walz, as the governor of Minnesota, is in charge of the Minnesota State Government Investment Board. This is where they invest pension fund money, for teachers, et cetera, in the state of Minnesota. In 2022, there was an article in CNBC that talked about how Minnesota was rapidly expanding its investments in mainland China. And of course, Walz is the chairman of that board, and he has a say. That was completely out of step with what every other state pension investment fund was doing. In Texas and Florida, of course, they were dramatically curtailing their investments in China because it's clear how those investments benefit the Chinese military-industrial complex. But even more liberal states like Washington State and California were at least putting a hold or a freeze on investments in mainland China. But again, not Tim Walz's Minnesota Investment Board, where he's the chair. They actually added $1 billion in investments to their Chinese portfolio during that time period. That is also extremely disconcerting when he's marching to his own tune compared to even what liberal states like California and Washington State are doing.